The economy is plagued with third-party middlemen that have to go. They're a large contributor to why the price of everything goes up. And like all parasites, they take more than they give and they extract from people's prosperity. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how ICP is like a nuke getting dropped on them. Now, just like every other crypto, ICP bypasses the banks, payment processors, and other financial intermediaries, and it does this better than any other project. It's the fastest, safest, and has never had any downtime. But even crypto is full of third parties, and that's because almost all of crypto depends on Web 2, even Bitcoin. The most useful way to define Web 3 is that it needs to be on-chain, else it's nothing new and nothing special. Now, because ICP hosts its own internet, it has its own wings to fly and doesn't need any extra third parties. And since its internet software and settlement layers are fully on-chain, its claim to Web 3 is superior to every other project on the deepest foundational level. Because of this, it's not just crypto third parties that are threatened, but the entirety of Web 2 itself and all the appendages that prop it up, to which there are many, some of which are industries in their own right. But efficiency is progress, and we don't need to depend on this old infrastructure anymore. Because of this, the middleman between the users and developers is thinning. Now first, let's talk about the biggest third party, the web service providers. As the only decentralized web service in existence, ICP is a direct threat to them. Dfinity is going up against the biggest tech corporations in the world, such as Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Alibaba, who combined have a market cap of nearly $10 trillion. These are the main companies that all your web activity is built on. Roughly 75% of every website, app, and online service depends on one of these four companies. In fact, around 25% of all of Ethereum's workloads, aka their nodes and validators, are controlled by Amazon, and around 60% are controlled by centralized cloud providers in general. And those numbers are even higher on Solana. This means that even the biggest cryptos are vassal networks to the largest providers. No one can beat these companies competing on the same playing field as them. They effectively own the arena and the referees, aka the regulators. The only way to slay this dragon is by inventing a new generation of technology, one that pulls the rug up from under them, and it has to do things that they can't replicate. And what ICP offers isn't just incrementally better, it throws them into a primitive age of history. An analogy would be like back in 1818 when Charles Chubb filed a patent for the detector lock. It was a huge advancement in locking mechanisms which led to better vaults in the modern day safe. ICP brings this security to the digital realm, but better because you can't lockpick it. No one can break past tamper-proof code. Maybe in the future quantum computing can crack blockchain, but Dfinity has one of the most advanced team of computer scientists, and they're already researching countermeasures to that. ICP also secures private data so everyone's online activity and information is protected, and it also removes power from the censors who can arbitrarily shut you down if you're built on Web 2. This means platforms like social media can't ban you. Even its secretive shadow banning can be taken away. And the hardware has no central points of failure. Any essential infrastructure built on it won't go offline. Imagine having to go to work but the subway shuts down because the data center has an outage. ICP prevents this scenario. Future generations will look back and laugh at how primitive our setups were before ICP upgraded the internet. The web service industry is worth hundreds of billions and holds up an online economy which is worth trillions. ICP's market cap is currently only $2.4 billion, and half of the total supply is already locked in staking. The value proposition here is mind-melting, and this video is just getting started. Next, let's talk about traditional IT architecture, which is the body that holds the mind for the internet. It exists in data centers which are largely controlled by just a few corporations. Some of these data centers cost billions to set up, yet they have many vulnerabilities. The main ones being tamperable code, power outages, strangers who control your privacy, defenselessness to censorship, and tamperable hardware that can also be destroyed. Also, these corporate gatekeepers can raise fees on businesses that compete with any of their subsidiaries, giving them the power to choose winners in the market. ICP flips this megalithic setup like a spatula flipping over one of the trilithon stones in Baalbek. It does this using independent operated node machines that are the pinnacle of sovereign hardware technology. The entire ICP network is coordinated through blockchain consensus, and not a single entity controls it from the top down. Instead, it's controlled by the NNS, the network nervous system, which is modeled after the human brain and is an unstoppable democracy. Each of these node machines costs upwards of around $50,000, and according to the dashboard, there are over 700 node machines in 35 different countries. If we were to put ICP's average workload on regular Web 2, it would roughly cost 30% cheaper. This is partly because cloud providers are cut out and they aren't charging any fees. To run ICP's internet service, node machines mainly just pay for electricity and the leasing space. So overall, the hardware costs are cheaper and we get way more capabilities like security that Web 2 just can't do. But we should also note that ICP can't operate at the same speeds of Web 2. For example, ICP is a long ways away from running an online first-person shooter like Call of Duty. And as far as video games go, it'd be better suited for turn-based strategy or something else. This is because blockchain consensus just takes time. But the trade-off is the security, and there are some other functionalities. Like, for example, with gaming, there are things like true asset ownership, programmable scarcity, player-driven economies, servers never shutting down, immutable democracies in game. I'll make a full video of crypto gaming in the future, but back to this video. Now, ICP turns the entire traditional tech stack into unneeded third parties. You've probably heard the term tech stack a lot, so what is it? It's the combination of technologies needed to build and host software. IT architecture is a core part of it. To simplify, though, a tech stack consists of the front end, back end, the cloud, and DevOps tools. The front end is considered the client side. This includes the code for the user interface, frameworks, library, and functionality. The back end are the servers, databases, and application logic. And the cloud, like AWS, provides the infrastructure and services that support the front and back end. And DevOps, which is short for development and operational tools, they just kind of help streamline everything together. A Web 2 developer needs all of these things to bring software to market, and each contain extra third parties that they need to depend on and manage. But the Internet Computer bypasses all of these, which lets you escape vendor lock-in. ICP smart contracts put the full stack in what Dfinity calls canisters that can hold entire apps, front end and back end, 100% on chain. This is a big deal because now everything is in one place while also having every advantage blockchain gives. Are you starting to understand that the people at Dfinity are geniuses? While 99% of other cryptos are made up by just clicking a mouse a few times, ICP has created something that no other project can even come close to. It's like comparing a fidget spinner to a hydroelectric dam. Now, there are many businesses dedicated to one Web 2 service that are being threatened. Things like domain registries, CDNs, APIs, load balancers, user authentication services. These aren't needed anymore because ICP has them all natively integrated. And do you see why there's so many conspiracies in this eco? Isn't it strange that the only people talking about ICP are just random individuals on YouTube who are eccentric free thinkers? There are industry elites who do not want this type of technology to succeed. It takes way too much power away from them and puts many out of business. And it isn't just other cryptos who want to see ICP die, it's the entire internet architecture, from hardware to software. ICP can create decentralized apps that don't even need a profit-driven business operating it. The value can be shared just between the developers and the users. The entire structure of business models online is being rattled. We're going from a paradigm where dozens of middlemen were needed to virtually none at all, and it's all on one platform. Now, cybersecurity alone is close to a $300 billion market in annual revenue, with almost $1 trillion combined market cap of all the biggest publicly traded cybersecurity firms. Most companies dedicate 1 to 10% of their employees just to security, but with cryptographic solutions, they're not needed. This is the real future that crypto is evolving towards: complete online security, not just for payment ledgers, but the entire internet. If you think this is all too good to be true, well, the tech is real and it's working. The only valid grounds for pessimism is that you're seeing David face off against Goliath and you're betting on Goliath. But what you have to realize is David doesn't just have a slingshot, he's got a laser cannon, while Goliath is still chucking spears. And the elites, they can't afford to let ICP have the spotlight. They shift focus on shitcoins like Solana and Ethereum, who aren't even real threats to anything. Unlike ICP, who also threatens app stores. App stores have long controlled the mobile user customer base. Devs pay an arm and a leg to get to sell their apps to Apple and Android users. And these app stores don't play fair. They can cherry pick who gets more notice or arbitrarily remove your software entirely if they want to, and you have no power for an appeal. But ICP apps are 100% browser based. Their software doesn't discriminate on what device you use. As long as you can access the internet, you can access the apps. The products that developers put their blood and sweat into are not at the mercy of the corporate boardroom anymore. There are no in-your-face gatekeepers to lock you out from launching your software and keeping it up when you build on the internet computer. ICP turns billion-dollar corporations and trillion-dollar industries upside down. Now back to crypto. For being an industry built on decentralization, there's an awful amount of centralization that's capitalizing on that philosophy. For example, the biggest exchanges are centralized. Binance, Gate.io, Coinbase, these are all built on hackable Web 2 and can leave you at the mercy of their customer service. Not to mention they're fair game for regulatory crackdowns. Centralized exchanges have to jump through the hoops of the bureaucrats, but when something's 100% on-chain, it's immune to institutions. And decentralized exchanges like Uniswap or PancakeSwap have their problems too. For example, they depend on centralized wallets like MetaMask, who to their credit are open source, but since their code is not 100% on-chain, it can be tampered with, which happens regularly when wallets get drained. And the MetaMask team can change the code whenever they want. These wallets and DEXs also depend on services from Web 2. For example, external APIs are used for real-time market updates. This means MetaMask is vulnerable to having false information sent to them, which could be used to manipulate. But ICP DEXs and wallets are the only ones in crypto that are 100% on-chain, and therefore they have the most resistance to exploits. Everything from user interface, logic, and data storage is secured on-chain, and since ICP can make native HTTPS outcalls, it's not dependent on third-party APIs and doesn't need third-party oracles like Chainlink. And there are no third parties in its layer 2s because ICP chain key technology is automatic and it doesn't have centralized custodians. So there are no bridges and there are no things like wrapped Bitcoin. Outside assets are locked into smart contracts that mint a twin coin, which then burns when a user withdraws it back to the native network. This solution is superior because it removes a human trust variable. When you can program the terms of a contract in immutable fashion, you can depend on its execution. This will create a future with less litigation, and in a way, even lawyers and justice systems are expensive third parties, but even they become less necessary when contract obligations become unstoppable through smart contracts. And since only ICP can do it on a software level, it has the farthest reach of reducing discrepancies between interacting entities. Now, if stocks become tokenized and trading migrates to crypto exchanges, are users going to settle for anything but the best when it comes to security? And with fiat spiraling out of control, gold currency might make a comeback, which means there's going to be a demand for gold-backed stablecoins and ones that are secure and fully interoperable with crypto and tokenized assets. Having everything on-chain is the gold standard for security, and it makes me laugh when people FUD ICP, when the reality is that besides payment adoption, crypto has no meaningful direction to evolve towards other than crypto software, and there are thousands of cryptos competing for payment adoption. And even if Bitcoin becomes a world currency, if the software that facilitates it isn't 100% on-chain as well, the Pandora box of corruption remains open, and Satoshi's dream stays caged. Crypto right now is just all musical chairs with the institutions playing the music while teasing adoption to milk the retail. But Dfinity continues to build in the shadows, developing the world computer, which is a platform for freedom, security, and dependable trustlessness that connects every single person on the planet. Even AI is bound inside and locked out of on-chain code, and AI has the potential to be the biggest third party of them all. I believe that if you and me can have a private conversation in real life, why shouldn't we be allowed to have one online? Bitcoin made everyone their own sovereign bank. ICP's world computer makes everyone a sovereign individual. This is the equivalent of the French Revolution for the internet. It frees the peasant class from Web 2's feudal system by stripping control away from the elites. The internet is the most important battleground right now for the fight for free speech. I don't condemn those who want to make money. I do too, but this is also bigger than that. The internet needs to be free. It is fundamental for humanity and society evolving forward. Now, thank you for watching this video. Right now, I just started a job that's 6 days a week, 12 hours every day. So I'm really tired and I'm busy all the time, but I'm going to keep trying to put out videos at least once a week. Thank you. Have a good day.